Kovidakae Sake Kahande Maupakara Sugriva Inkina Rama Milaya Rajapadadina Tumaro Mantra Vibhishana Mana Lankeshwara Bhaya Sabadagadana Yuga Sahastra Trojana Parabhanu Ilyota Madura Paladana Prabhu Mudrika Mini Mukamahi Jaladilangi Gaye Achara Janahi Durgama Kaja Jagata Kejete Sukamanugraha Marete Amaduari Tumarakawari
It's a new world.
Sabasukalahi Tumari Sharana Marachaka Kavu Kodarana Apanate Samaro Api Inoloka Hagatengampi Utapizachani Katana Hinave Mahavira Japana Musunave Nasero Hare Sabapira Japatan Nirantara Hanumatavira Sankatate Hanumana Churavi Manakrama Bachana Dhyana Cholavi Sabapara Matapasvi Raja Inake Kaja Sakala Tumasaja Or Manorat Joko Ilari Soyamita Jivana Palapavi Charon Juga Paratapa Tumara He Parasita Jagata Ujiyara Sadhu Santa Ke Tumara Kavari Asurani Kandana Rama Dulari Ashta Siddhi Nidhi Ke Data Asavara Gita Chanaki Mata Rama Rasayana Tumare Pasa Sadara Hora Kupati Ke Dasa Mare Bhajan Rama Kopave Janama Janama Ke Duka Visarave Antakala Raghuvara Purajai Hanjanma Hare Pataka Or Devata Chaitanya Dharai Hanumata Se Sarva Sukha Karai Sankhata Kate Mite Sababira Jo Sumire Hanumata Balavira Jai 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 Hanumana Gosai Ripakara Guru Deva Kinai Vasatabara Pata Karakovi Chuta Hipandi Mahasukoi Joya Hapare Hanumana Chalisa Oya Siddhi Saki Gaurisa Tulasi Dasa Sada Hari Chera Ijenada Hradaya Mahandera Avanatanaya Sankataharana Mangala Muratiru Ramalakana Sita Sahita Hridaya Basau Suramu Yavara Ramachandra Padaje Sharanam Mangala Murti Marutanandan Sakala Mangala Murti Kancha Mangala Murti
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. I would like to make an announcement. I sent out an email last week for collecting funds for the Maitreya Center. they're having, on October 5th, they're having a 5K run walk. And if anybody's interested, you're welcome to go run and walk and get sponsored. But we thought that it might be fun to just have us, instead of sponsoring individual walkers, we would, as a center, send up a donation for the Maitreya Center. The residents there are amazingly maintaining the center in a beautiful way and really want it to be the legacy that Lama Norla wanted it to be. And so they're working very hard in fundraising. And so if anybody would like to see Kate or myself, we'll be upstairs. And you can offer it in cash, in a check, whatever you want. And the check should be made to KTC. KT is in Thomas C. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, we have a few verses of Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Thank you, Patricia. So we'll focus in for a few minutes like we always do. And one other little announcement, in fact, Sharon and I just sort of thought about this morning. Chakapani was very, very ill, and he could be passing, the next few days. And then also Swami Muktananda's Samadhi that is on October 2nd. Often there's a convergence with this sort of thing. And so we think we'd have a chant at 5 o'clock from 5 to 6 on Saturday. You're welcome to come if you can. If you can't, no problem. We'll probably put it on Zoom. And also, Anand Mudra was also coming for a visit and then Karen will play and he'll play the drums. So there's a little bit of a convergence here. And hope you guys can participate if you can. So... Saturday, 5 o'clock. So I'd like to mention this book. It's called Love and Liberation, the autobiographical writings of Tibetan Buddhist visionary Sarakandro. And actually it's Sarakandro's life in tantric life and in Tibet. And she also wrote this book, Refining Our Perception of Reality, and this is a commentary on Dujam Lingpa's account of his visionary journey, and that's both his biography, The Mirror, and also the text later described that Dujam Rinpoche revised. It was first Dojim Lingpa, then it came back as Dojim Rinpoche. He edited his text. I think it's always rather funny and great. And she's a brilliant, brilliant person. But you get an opening to what tantric life was between companions and consorts and that whole story there. And she was a companion with Dojim Lingpa's son. Okay, and she's an exquisitely good writer. She was a character. And this is one of the few books that really, with Dojim Lingpa's directness, it's a very direct book. And if you want to get that, it'd be great. That's another word of find is also very, very good. So here we are again. I've been focusing on the archetypal realm, huh? And as we know, one way of understanding this is by entering transitional space, whether in sleep or awake, that somewhere or other you and I aren't located in our mind alone. And not that the archetypal doesn't come that way, but it's really when we suspend our mind into an awareness of awareness, and then we can integrate our mind, that we don't simply know the archetypical mentalistically, like an anemic academic, but rather we're there. You with me? We're there in the Nirmanakaya and its manifestation. We're there as it emerges. We're there in Sambhogakaya, in the apparitional realm. And then we're in Dharmakaya. So in a certain way, you and I are Nirmanakaya. We are Sambhogakaya. And we are the Dharmakaya. And that's really very direct. And we live in different times. So when I'm in my mind alone, I'm a certain sense of time. As we enter into the Nirmanakaya realm, ordinary reality of this world, then there's another time. As we enter Sambhogakaya, there's still then you're in archetypal time. And then if you enter some Dharmakaya, you're in timeless awareness completely, and it's useful to know that this is all very experiential, because that's what we are. And really knowing that and feeling that gives us greater access to that. So I'm going to just start this way a little bit. There's also that paper I think we sent out to you, Amy sent out to you. It's also on Academia EDU, Existential Consultations, the Context of Archetypal Psychology and Cosmology. You're welcome to read it. And then we have another one coming up. So we'll start off this way, though. We'll lean into me, and I'll give a better talk. We meandered around last time. So we're able to experience our unfolding of life circumstances, an unfolding of life situation as luminosity and as the radiance of primordial awareness. And our illuminated knowing, that's if I'm in awareness, directly knows the luminosity of phenomena, and the luminosity of awareness experiences the innate luminosity of phenomena. So it's the same light in my own awareness and in all the circumstances around me. So the luminosity of our own awareness allows us to penetrate, to enter into and experience the luminosity within and as phenomena. And the luminous purity of our own awareness allows us to experience the luminous purity of pervasive phenomena. We've been focusing a lot on purity of vision, purity of awareness, and it's the same power of that light of primordial awareness that also comes in through our minds, and there's a union of our mind of gnosis, more direct perception of awareness, but also with our mind, and that allows us to see not only the light of all phenomena, but we get a better hang, a better sense of what's happening, who's there, what's going down here, what's happening. You with me? So it really is a way of being in this world. Or as the Shaivite masters say, the bliss of samadhi is the bliss of this world. Huh? That makes sense, huh? Oh, I like to think it takes one to know one, huh? and that two awarenesses are better than one. So, the three dimensions of knowing of the knower. So you and I actually we live in a multidimensional world, and we're actually little multidimensional beings. And also, our awareness is embodied, more or less. In fact, the actual liberation from this point of view is the liberation of embodiment, the liberation of embodiment aware of awareness, and embodiment of the light, and embodiment in all its different dimensions. That is liberation, just as I am. And so our own personal awareness is contained in this embodied and mind and circumstances. And it's contained in time, as our personal awareness is the very same awareness. It is primordial awareness that manifests everything and anything, including me right now and you right now, and mind and time right now. But in its containment, it is us. It is awareness. It is us. Our personal knowingness, and it is personal, is a function of the Nirmanakaya dimension. My own knowingness, even at this moment, is a function of this dimension. I am this dimension at this moment. And so this way, you and I can know the Nirmanakaya realm. We do have to do a little shifting from being in our mind alone, not always easy, and we make that shift. Sometimes suspending the mind, however we do it, you get exhausted, whatever it is, you suspend judgment, you go into this perceptual thing of gazing with your whole body. And then a lot of events bring that naturally, like love, and then we integrate our mind into this. So our personal awareness, our personal knowingness, is a function of the Nirmanakaya dimension, and because as a function of the Nirmanakaya, we can know the Nirmanakaya realm. And this is the realm of ordinary reality of our life world. That's Husserl's one of Husserl's favorite sub-statements, our life world. That's where I'm at, in this life world. And our personal awareness is also the archetypal awareness of the Sambhogakaya realm. And so you and I can know the archetypal dimension of existingness. And some of you guys are really good at that. You can enter that dimension. It's not like you're in witness consciousness witnessing it. It's not like you're simply you are in it. To when you start having those experiences, it's because you're there. You are in it, and you're having a direct perception of that dimension that you are now existing in. We're like a big triangle, teeny little head, broader awareness than the archetypical dimension of light and energy and vortexes, what else you want to, and then pure, timeless awareness. And we'll go into where we're at in timeless awareness. So, so our personal awareness is the archetypical awareness of Sambhogakaya realm, and so we can know the archetypical dimension of existingness. We can know the Sambhogakaya realm since we are the personal Sambhogakaya of knowingness. I don't have it. I am it. I am that. So our personal awareness knowing is archetypal, and our knowingness is the very same energies and light that we experience in and as the Sambhogakaya dimension. And usually when we're in that dimension, the quality of translucidity emerges. Translucidity is of our own embodiment, and the translucidity of what we're seeing. We'll go a little bit more that realm is a translucent realm. So our freedom and our capacity for luminous knowing, luminous movement, and luminous action is much more subtle and refined in and as the archetypal dimension. And that's why people like Durjam Lingpa was a traveler in the archetypal realm. Swami Muktananda was a person who traveled in the archetypical realm, and some of you all travel in the archetypical realm. You experience the archetypical realm, and part of this is really feel familiar with it and in owning. All this stuff has to do with in owning which we are, in ownership. Yep, c'est moi. So, our freedom and capacity for luminous knowing, luminous movement, and luminous action is much more subtle and refined in and as the archetypal dimension. For our personal awareness, there's less determination and less fixated, concrete, physical formulations within our dimension of being as the realm of light and the energy field configurations. It's also true about certain healers. Some healers are in their mind, make little interpretations. Some healers are in awareness of awareness, and they're in the Manakaya realm. There's more space there. And some healers have a relationship to the Sambhogakaya realm. They live in the Sambhogakaya realm, they invoke the Sambhogakaya realm, and that's the sea they live in, and it comes up into the Manakaya. And there's some who are in the Dharmakaya realm, pure awareness. Okay? So for our personal awareness, there's less determination and less fixated, concrete, physical formulations within our dimension of being as the realm of light and energy configurations. It's a little bit more indeterminate. There is more spaciousness and more subtle freedom of movement for self-liberation of the archetypal realm. And so this entire way of thinking about the Kayas actually has to do with self-liberation, and literally self-liberation. So as we ground ourselves, as we are ground awareness, or Dharmakaya knowingness, there is no subject and no otherness. You and I we're only pure awareness. We're pure potentiality. We're a vast stillness and the movement that brings forth the Sambhogakaya dimension and the Manakaya dimension. Sometimes what's the often speak of is the great wind, the mysterious wind coming through. Okay? So we are this dimension of being, capital B-E-I-N-G, that is not yet a being. So there's an aspect of me at this very moment that's not here as me, but is simply being itself in its manifestation. You with me? And sometimes if I'm really lucky, I might fall into that dimension, Maybe. But it's being itself that manifests everything and everything. So we are this dimension of being that is not yet a being, and you and I are in potentiality, and we are becoming in time beings. As primordial awareness, we are being, and we are not yet a being. We're a being, and we are beings in potentiality. We're beings in potentiality, but not in actuality yet. And that's all simultaneous. That's happening right here and now. So this has to do becoming into actuality. So from potentiality, as it starts becoming into actuality, that's rupa. There's certain aspects of form start to help. The elements start to manifest. Lights, blah, blah, blah. And that's the archetypical realm. Now, how we talk about the archetypical realm is there's lots of different codes for the archetypical realm. Are you with me? And lots of different ways it's manifested. It can be manifested in dreams. It can be manifested in apparitions. It can be manifested through mythological ways we speak about it. The deities, Dojo Droma. It can be aspected in lots of different ways. So it has a lot of valence to it, the archetypical realm. And different cultures are all trying to articulate it. Even astrology, with wonderful David Tarnas, and Chakapani would look at the planets as archetypical. That's why they call them gods. They're archetypical energies that are manifesting everything and anything. So there's lots of ways of articulating or coding from this non-conceptual realm into this Nimanakaya realm. Say yes if that makes some sense. Yes. And I will make some comments on the transcendental versus eminence, okay, and how they different ways of understanding. This is an eminent. I always say it wrong though. Eminent, I-M-M-A-N-E-N-T-S. Eminence. Coming from up. Not in my mind. My mind is also eminent. It's manifestation. It's all self-manifestation. And when you enter self-manifestation philosophy, you're ultimately entering into a form of pantheism. Everything is the divine energy. Even Trumpo. little mad divine energy. Right, it's true. It's true. So, the time of the kayas. Everybody together? You guys following this? Good. The time dimensions of the kayas. Okay. So, and we'll follow this. There's a time dimension of time as ordinary reality of Nirmanakaya. And I think mind also. My mind has different times. So you think maybe yours does too. Because sometimes my mind, in its obsessive, compulsive, ruminative drivenness, everything is like so short. There is no time. No time. No time. Some other times it might be in another aspect of my mind. And the time is open, huh? But if I go into awareness of awareness, try it. When you're in awareness of awareness, time does different things. It often slows down. Wait a minute, it slows down. And then there's the archetypal time. Because the archetypal time is movement. It is form. It is super, super subtle. But there is time. Wherever there's movement, there is time, huh? And then there's Dharmakaya, timeless awareness, beyond time, and yet simultaneously manifesting time. Function. Function. So people upstairs. Okay, that's real. Hello upstairs. Yes, we're getting high on the fumes. Skip brought that wonderful device. Huh?
I heard hello down there.
Skip brought that wonderful device and saving my brain. Function. In the realm of mind alone, where the function of mind's mentalistic knowing. Because we're very rational too. Very rational. In the realm of Nirmanakaya, where the function of Nirmanakaya, embodied knowing of ordinary reality, more or less, huh? And in the realm of Sambhogakaya, where the function of archetypal knowing, the realm of Sambhogakaya. And when yogis are really in the realm of Sambhogakaya, they see everything. They often use the realm of the language of the deities. They see the deities wherever they go. They see everything as the manifestation of the deities, these energies, and they also gain empowerment of working with the deities at that level. And that's what we try and practice on Saturdays, right? We look at those practices as primarily one way of trying to invoke and bring ourselves directly into the Sambhogakaya dimension, huh? We're not trying to imagine, putting everything in mind. Now I have a little outfit on, I have the 3 robes of Pabba Sambhava, and I have a little arrow in my hand, on a hatchet, and a couple, those things people do, they can do that, but really and truly, that's mentalistic. You with me? That's a mentalistic thing. And even by doing it so mentalistic, it can lock you into mentalism. You with me? Just like a good painter doesn't paint from there, So that's why it's more like entering into it, hearing the language, and entering into the symbolic function in whatever that means for you. Now, and in the realm of Dharmakaya, we're in the realm of knowing, not as an entity, but as pure potentiality of ground awareness, huh? So sometimes when people have undue prejudice for ground awareness, they think that's the only way to be in meditation. And other than that, you're not in meditation, okay? Only if you're in ground awareness and you're not there and nothing else is there, and then just in this pure awareness, okay? And that's the way it is, and that's the only thing that counts. And other than that, you're whistling Dixie. You with me? I think that's fucked up. Because they are all primordial awareness in her different manifestations. So Nirmanakaya is just as much the divine light in that form, in this form, as in the pure luminous darkness of the Tromanagmo. You with me? Now around this you have lots of battles in all these different traditions. You with me? or as Lama Torchen would say, how you relate to phenomena and appearance is how you're going to be realized. You with me? And also how you're going to deal with this world. Well, if you look around, I'm now going to be distracted. In all this philosophy stuff and theology stuff, you will often find two big divergences, even in the same traditions. Don't please think that all these traditions are the same. That simply means you've never read anything. You only listen to teachers. I'm serious about that. They're very different. Like everything, just like, oh, psychoanalysis. Yeah. Oh, all this different because everybody is inventive. And this power of primordial awareness that invents everything is always inventing. Do you follow what I'm saying? And if you hold on to dogmatic things, you're welcome to. It is like a life raft. You with me? But you're holding on to something external to your own. And as that life raft pops away from you for a moment, you're in deep shit. Do you guys know that? I know that. I've been there. Are you with me? Yes. So, if you're going into philosophy just a little bit, there's the path of transcendence, transcendentalness, and there's the path of eminence. And for instance, Heraclitus was one of the first philosophers of eminence. He would go into the marketplace and people are killing their sheep and they're making all these sacrifices, you with me, for this or for that. And he would cry, oh my God, because it's all our experience manifesting right now is divinity taking place. You with me? You go into Christian theology, and this, in the battle that took place in terms of Gnosticism, certain forms of Gnosticism, and the Christian theology. And certain forms of Gnosticism was that Jesus, as remember Father, I forget his name, who came last year, or this year, was it? Last year. Was very eminent, that Jesus was the body of light, and he came, and he was the incarnation. Most of the incarnational theologies are the incarnation of the divine light in us as us, right? Same thing we're talking about here, and the same that, and Jesus was the person that incarnated that. I and the Father are one. He's talking about here and now, and an eminent thing, and the liberation that comes from that, and the power of love that comes from that, the power of way of seeing that comes from that. Then it starts getting institutionalized. You start having a battle taking place. Athanasius, and 325 and all these, you start now having the institutionalization. And there also was the battles around the transcendentalness, and that God the Father is out there, and here's this world, and some way Jesus is the translation between that world and this world, because this is a really fucked up place. And it actually is in its own way. At least of late, it's been happening more and more. So, and then there's Jesus, but well, Jesus, no, you're not going to meet Jesus directly in you as you. You're going to have to go through the institution, and there's El Papa, who's infallible, and then there's the bishops, who are sort of infallible, and then it comes to the priests, who are sort of infallible, and there you are, okay? And your job is to help support the whole thing financially, okay? How can I say these things? I don't know why. It's been one of these days. So you have the form of theocratic thinking, you with me? And you have a patriarchalness that comes about. And of course, in Gnostic times, women were also priests. Everyone participated. There was no priest as priest. Everyone participated in the rituals of, what was the ritual? Eating food and knowing that is the light. You follow what I'm saying? Then you start having the formation. Most of these traditions, you have priesthoods. You have shamanhoods, you have priesthoods, brahmanhoods, and some kind of hood. Why is that word there? And you have all these different, well, hi. You have all these ways that you don't have it, and the invocation is something you don't have. The power of invocation is through the power of those traditions. And you'll see that over and over and over again, okay? And you can do that sort of thing if you like to. But from an incarnational point of view, it's all here. It's all here. There's Dujayudroma out there, who also was the deity of Sarakandro. I like that. They know each other. I like that type of connection because I like Duja Yudroma. This is a book about Duja Yudroma and Sarah Kondro. Okay? We give her guidance. And so there's these deities are arising, they're apparitions, they're manifestations of what's in me right now. And so I have the power of invocation. I am trying to bring that dimension forth in me, which is my own self. So self-empowerment is a big thing in Dzogchen. You with me? The self-empowerment of bringing this forth. So most of these, when we chant or when you do mantra or you focus on these energies, these deities, these codes, they're codes, you with me? Symbolic codes. They're not mental. No, they're actualities. Excuse me, let me say this one more time. They're not mental, as some think. Some think, even some Tibetans think it's only mental. It's CBT with style, okay? Some think that. But actually, this is the invocation, bringing forth with my own self, Durja Yudroma, that goddess of good fortune and good luck for myself and those I know. So I have that, I practice that. You practice that. Now, there was a Lama who gave me that empowerment first. You with me? And I like getting empowerments. I like getting empowerments. I have a part of me, I love getting empowerments, and I like getting them twice, okay? Just to make sure, okay? And I really think it's great to get empowerments because it all depends somewhat on the person giving the empowerment. I don't think it's just because the person has gotten permission. At least that's been my experience. There are some empowerments, the hair stands up, my eyes open, and I feel the arising. And some empowerments, nothing happens whatsoever. That could be because of me, you with me? But I do know that empowerment it's not magic because someone gave you permission. It's a power, and the more the person owns that in themselves, knows that in themselves, they can bring that forth for themselves and others. And as they bring that forth for themselves, and they're connected to you, and you're connected to them through mingling of the mind, to use Lama Norla's phrase, you're going to find that awakening of that access to that. Raise your hands if you don't have to believe it. Raise your hands if you understand what I'm saying here. So you bring forth that through these practices in your own, whatever tradition it is. Maybe the Mass, you're bringing forth Jesus, or Mary, the Madonna, because Mary, the Divine Mother, was an historical person who embodied that archetypical energy. And through the centuries, she has been held in love, and that power of the Divine Mother arises over and over again if you have that devotion. Because devotion is the power. Devotion is the power of what really brings forth the power of the archetypical realm in your own body. You with me? Now, I don't mean conscious devotion. Some people just have that without any you don't have to know any of this intellectually. It just arises naturally for a lot of people. You guys follow what I'm saying here, okay? And to the degree that you think all this is out there, the holy other, what did Barth call God? Protestant theologian, the holy other. Out there, way out there, transcendental. Then the more there's transcendentalness, you're going to need a mediator. You're going to need a mediator for you. There's no directness here. You have to go through someone else, and I'm the one. Transcendental moment, right?
This is a peanut gallery right there.
'Cause the more transcendental, the more you need a mediator. It's out there. Plato was one of the first people who began articulate. Hi, Anna, who began articulating the archetypal realm as forms. As forms. There were these ancient forms that were out there. But they were out there. You with me? Heraclitus comes along. For the pre-Socratics, and were always radicalized. They're radicalized Dzogchen. They're radicalizing the present moment. They're radicalizing embodiment. They're radicalizing the power of awareness and the purity of awareness in everyone. Am I going too fast? Am I entertaining you a little bit today? Yes, please.
Can you just say another word or two about ownership? I think that's important because even when you have these experiences, the idea of you are the guru, I am the guru, is, I think, maybe could be a bit weak.
Let me say this to you. When I say ownership, it's not like I'm owning a picture in my mind. Oh, there's the Divine Mother, and it's really my projection. That's how something we want to undercut that completely. All these archetypes are non-dual. They are unbound, infinite forms. You with me? So say we suddenly we focus on Mary, and some of us have an attunement to Mary, and we start invoking the divine, that energy, the Divine Mother, Tramonagmo, and suddenly that we feel that presence arising. And that presence can be I can feel it in my body, but I can feel it in the room. That presence is not simply in me or a function of me. That presence is arising, self-manifesting before us, in you, in me, and it's both in me and not in me. I'm both relating it to it in a differentiated way. Oh, there's Mary. And a non-dualistic way, that energy I am right now. So that's why the power of understanding non-dualistic experience within dualism runs through this entire thing. So when we experience the divine archetype manifesting, whether apparitionally or in presence or something's taking place, it's because we're in a non-dual relationship with it. You with me? And simultaneously, we're in a dualistic. Oh, that's him. Oh, that's her. That's Durja Udromo. So it's always two sides. It's both non-dual. It's the non-lucidity, the non-dual dimension, and there's also the difference. Raise your hands if you understand that.
So the ownership is in the non-dual.
The ownership is ultimately in the non-dual. Yes, really. The ownership is really owning the non-dual dimension that I am. You with me? The non-dual dimension. If it's only the dualistic one, I can enter into an asymmetrical relationship for a long, long, long time. You with me? Now, not that that's not useful for me as an anchor and does have the power of protection, but it's not really the power of non-dualistic knowingness, gnosis. Raise your hands if you're understanding that.
So those things would only then become powerful in terms of how they help you tap into the non-dual.
Ultimately, they're powerful to the degree that they help me tap into the non-dual. And that's a very important power, and it's very important for many, many people. And not everyone would understand what we're doing right at this moment. You with me? Because not because of intelligence, because of cultural prejudice and religious prejudice born over the centuries. Religious prejudice. For instance, I had an email last week. Okay, and one of Lama, I'm not going to say that, but one of the Lama's students is his parents. He's a Tibetan, and his parents are offering up a goat and a sheep for his life. You with me? That's a very Tibetan thing, right? Offer up animals, right? Okay. And so these people love Lama Norla, so they're going to take one of their precious sheep and one of their goat, and they're going to offer the animal up, the life of the animal up, with me, as a way of sustaining the life. But that's actually in Tibetan Buddhism. A lot of these ancient things, this is nothing new. All these traditions will have the issue of sacrifice sometimes, or maybe I'll sacrifice myself, I'll cut my finger off, and make that as an offering. Haven't you had thoughts like that? Okay. And I'll make some sacrifice, I'll take something that belongs, or the first baby, Abraham, offer the baby up. This sort of thing is deeply entwined in human mind, unconsciousness, deeply entwined. And and to get beyond that is not easy, okay? You follow what I'm saying? So you take the best and leave the rest, as they say. So let me continue on here. Almost. So to know directly the kayas, to know directly the dimension of the kayas, we must be in the realm of the specific kaya to have the knowing of that specific kaya. To know directly, all this has to do with direct perception. The entire Dzogchen thing has to do with direct experience. Direct, not belief. Yes.
But don't you think it's not only a doorway into the totality, but it's also expanding our experiential kind of way of being and knowing more?
Absolutely. That doorway is me. So when I do this, I'm expanding more and more, embodying the realm that I am. Huh?
It's a
Framework and experiential understanding. Now, but this is useful here. To know directly the dimensions of the kayas, we must be in the realm of that specific kaya to have the knowing of that specific kaya. And also, if I want the empowerment, I want the power of that kaya. As they say, Siddhi Hung. Siddhi Hung means give me the power. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me now. Siddhi Hung. The power of that dimension. Raise your hands if you understand that, huh? Now, so to know directly the archetypal dimension, we must be located in the Sambhogakaya realm. So people have a lot of devotion to saints, right? And that devotion to the saints can bring them, most simple people, they don't need all this stuff I'm doing, brings them into that dimension of the saint, huh? It brings them into that dimension. I always remember, I tell a little story when I was about seventh grade, 6th grade. They brought the arm of St. Francis Xavier to the church. Okay, this is very Catholic. We just love this stuff. It's also Tibetan, bones and stuff. Really, this is not Presbyterian, right? So we're all in line. It's in the evening, of course, 9 o'clock. We're going up. The priest, and there is suddenly the arm of St. Francis Xavier. What a stunning experience, because I felt the energy of that, right? I felt the energy of it. Whoa. Went and said, wow. I felt that dimension. That was beginning I felt that dimension. That opening, right? So a few years later, like 35, 40, Joao de Deus comes here. Who was here when Joao was here? Anybody here? Okay, so Joao comes. Okay, Joao comes, and here we are ready. First of all, 10,000 people wanted to come. We canceled it and put it to the next week. That just the people we knew could come. So Joao starts off, and who does he invoke first? St. Ignatius of Loyola. I thought that was really cool, really cool. That had some not only significance for me personally, but I knew the guy had something. You with me? Great.
So Rudy,
Yes?
one of the things that I remember most is that when he incorporated
Mm-hmm.
entities at that time,
Like Dom Ignacio, yeah?
and the first entity that came through that day
Uh-huh.
was St. Francis Xavier.
Yes.
Apparently was very rare.
Yeah, that was St. Francis Xavier, yes.
So the connection.
The connection was there, yes, and he didn't, but because he was attuned to the situation, or It arose through him naturally, not a mental intention. Okay, he would actually not have much intention. It was sometimes problematic because he wouldn't know what was happening. So we'll continue on here. Okay, so we must be located in Sambhoga Karma. What this means is this: if you're still hanging around in witness consciousness, which a lot of people do, in a determined way, they want to be in witness consciousness. They read one book on it, and they are stuck in, and it's like looking at things through a periscope. You with me? None of this will happen for you. It will not happen if you're in simply witness consciousness. You want to be a participant. You want to be in it. Participatoriness in it. Okay, so almost done for here. So we can locate it in Sambhogakaya realm. The experiential dissociation between the kayas must be dissolved in order to experience simultaneously the multidimensionality of the kayas, of your own existence-ness. So there's natural dissociation that arises here for some of us. So we can actually experience all three kayas simultaneously. We as knower can experience all three forms of knowing simultaneously, and we can experience the three dimensions simultaneously. But if you're actually growing up and you're hooked on a transcendental frame of the energies, and you're relating to the archetypes in a transcendental way, it can increase your state of dissociation. You don't have to buy anything I'm saying. Don't buy it. Just think about it. You have nothing to do, okay? So the transcendental thing can actually bring people into experiences, but it's not very embodied. And the problem with dissociative experience is dissociative experience creates more fragmentation in our bodies. You with me? And so you can actually have some support and succorance and nurturance in actuality, you with me? But you're not having the full empowerment that you have to do later on as you grow up and you make it your own in your body embodiment process. Now, all these things have two sides to it. It's not just, right or wrong. So we as knower experience all three forms of knowing simultaneously. And we can experience all three dimensions simultaneously. Now that must be really pretty interesting to be sitting in your life. You have a mind that's sort of wacko at times, Sometimes it's pretty good. I think I've ever met a person who did not have a wacko mind in times when you think about it. So you have to change your idea of purity then, right? If not, wacko purity. Purity is something else, right? And then you have a person who's in Nirmanakaya awareness and experiences the light around all these people, and experiences the purity in them, and he feels the divinity in the presence, even though all kind of really bad shit is going down with me. And their very attunement to the situation is one of the best signs of a person who is realizing awareness. When people really, the great yogis, they're attuned to the situation, because the situation is the unfolding of liberation for themselves and others. So when people aren't attuned to the situation, what's happening? I have questions, being the type of person I am. You follow what I'm saying? So let's continue on. So we can experience all three dimensions simultaneously. Our knowing within the three dimensions of awareness is possible. We can also be limited to only the Nirmanakaya experience, and be foreclosed to Sambhogakaya and Dharmakaya experience. Knowing from the kaya from a mentalistic mind, hello, is not the experiential knowledge of the kaya. Knowing from the mentalistic mind is not the experiential knowledge of the kaya. That's why you have to be careful with practices. If you're just doing like a little rabbit, a little robot, practicing, blah, 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 you have no idea what you're saying, it means nothing. Then you hope for merit. You with me? I don't really hope for merit. I hope for good luck. It's true. If it's between merit and good luck, I hope for good luck, for good fortune. Don't you? You think you earn it? I don't. I go for good luck, good fortune. The cultivation of good fortune, good friends, good companions. All these energies are companions. Now, so knowing the kaya from a mentalistic point of view alone is not experiential knowledge of the kaya. Mentalistic knowledge is not the experiential knowledge of the Sambhoga kaya, and mentalistic knowledge is not the embodied experience of Sambhoga kaya. Mentalistic knowledge is not the direct knowingness. Mentalistic mediated knowledge gives us conceptual knowledge and information. That's why we're going to focus for a minute. We're going to focus right in our own heart again. I can know all this stuff in my mind, and if it's in mind alone, it means shit. It means absolutely. I have to know it from within my own body in its unfolding experience, and then articulating it, my own experience, and coming to know it through my own experience. That's why I love people articulating, because as you and I articulate experience, we then actually go through our own experience into the different kayas that are being manifested in that experience. You follow what I'm saying? Dissociation. Oh my God, more on dissociation. Gee whiz. There's a natural dissociation, then we're going to end soon, that developmentally unfolds between the mind and the Manakaya. That's really one of the biggest. My mind's here, and my awareness is someplace else, right? I'm in my mind, in thinking function, in memory function, but I'm not in awareness. Then I'm aware of my mind. That's a nice thing to do, to be aware of your mind for a few days or a few weeks, but just to be aware of my mind hour after hour. It can help, but it's not liberation, huh? And all the yogis say, by the way, of Dzogchen, you don't earn liberation. You don't merit liberation. Doing good things has its own reward. I really think goodness is rewarded. I think evilness should be rewarded. But maybe it is, maybe it's not always at this time. Maybe it is. But so the dissociation between my mind and the Manakaya, that is really hard. It's not easy to overcome. But to really know the difference between my mind and awareness will take place when I know awareness by itself. If I can sit in awareness for a period of time, then I integrate my mind. I then know I know the difference. But yes, please.
When you say, everybody says we don't earn it, we tend to agree with that. That's a huge statement.
This is true. This is true.
That us sitting down here and Wednesday morning doesn't earn it.
I think, in fact, going for it is really useful. Undamo Bharavaha, going for it. In any way you go for it, even if I'm offering animals up for sacrifice, that going for it in a heartfelt way is very powerful for liberation. But
You do earn it.
no, I think I place myself in an existential situation where something can happen than nothing happening whatsoever. I have to place myself in situations where something can happen. That's why even our little seminar, I would say, is something really happening for you here, or are we still waiting for Godot? You with me? That's a criterion. Am I waiting for Godot? That's a real... So going for it is it. There's a way you... This is not passivity. This is not like a cow waiting for to be... There's the question. But people, when they start thinking they earn it, they start quantifying things in their mind, and they go into a capitalistic mentality. You with me? That has nothing to do with self-liberation. In fact, self-liberation happens because of us, because we're collaborating with experience and with the events and with the understanding. Knowledge is through action, and action gives us knowledge. Knowledge is really useful here, but there's a certain way. I'm going to do a little few push-ups for you right now. Okay, you ready? I'm going to do 100,000 of these. before I move on to my next knowledge. Now that's in every tradition. You have some sort of initiations and practices, and it's basically you're placing yourself in subservience to what's being required. You with me? Now, fortunately, most of the lamas we've had come here from Lama Wandor, Kunzen Dechen Lipa, Rinjin Dorje. Skip, who was the first one that came? The Lama? Tipton Kalsen. None of them brought this. The very first time Lama Wanderer comes here, his first talk is how he carried his teacher, because he always spoke in stories. He carried his teacher across the mountains from Tibet to India. That's why Lama Wanderer, his legs were permanently bent, okay? And he brought his teacher. It's a fantastic story. Then he goes to Sol Pema, which that time was jungle, and it's where Pamasambhava and Mandarara were companionships and did practice together with each other. Okay, this sacred lake. And then suddenly it starts growing. It starts really becoming a big thing. So then his Lama, his teacher, says, I want you to come back with me to Delhi. Come back now. Lama North says, no. I had my own path as I'm following. So one of the first teaching was, that is not how you relate. It's not obedience. That is not liberation through subservience. You can do that if you want, if that's part of your nature. You follow me? That's one of the first talks we ever had by a Lama. I just, where this comes. Now, Kunzeng Dechen Lipa was a person, an orphan in India. That's not a good fate, okay? And he was a street person and lived by the streets, and suddenly all these visions and apparitions would come to him, and he would start saying them, and people would follow him. Then people started, as he was growing, he would have this magnificent power of all these deities would come through him, he would speak them, and people would copy them down. Some of the ones we practice, actually. So then someone says, you should get some kind of some recognition about this. Go see Dorje Rinpoche. Okay, so he goes to see Dorje Rinpoche. And Dorje Rinpoche was head of the Nyingma tradition. And Dorje Rinpoche says, okay, they give a talk, and he gives them talk. And then Dorje Rinpoche writes him a letter that he is the real deal, and he's a contemporary teacher, and he gives them blessings, and he would then go and now become an official teacher. But he never went through all those practices. He never did nundros and stuff, so he would never expect that. So it depends what you get, right? And what you want to do. Yes.
So you earn it through openness.
If you want to think about earning, are you an accountant? You were an accountant! It makes total sense. Yeah, great.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there you don't.
But you know what's so great about this? It's all up to you.
Yeah.
You can do this any way you want, because everything that's said, at least 7,100 other people have the same opinion. You with me? So it's all opinions. This is a sea of opinion, and you're hearing one person's opinion on Swan Street. You with me? And you can do what you want to do with it. You with me? But ultimately, what really counts is your own opinion, your own mind. So if you're just a parrot in your mind, and you don't really know your own mind or your own experience, and you just clog through with belief, that might help. But actually, it's what you and I know and are. You with me? So one more thing, dissociation. Okay, so in certain ways, we're trying to dissolve dissociation, cut-offness. So the natural dissociation that developmentally unfolds between the mind and the Manakaya. then between Namanikaya and Sambhogakaya, and between Sambhogakaya and Namanikaya. The liberating process of embodiment unfolds by the embodiment of mind within awareness. Then there's an embodiment of Namanikaya field of awareness. Then there's the embodiment of Sambhogakaya field of awareness. And there's the embodiment of Dharmakaya awareness. Dissociation may be cut through and dissolved either step by step or by totality in the immediacy of the moment. Sorry to take so much time on this, but what does this mean? So a lot depends on who you hear this from. But there are certain traditions and people who believe that the Sambhogakaya is fantasy. Really. Early Buddhism did. You with me? Early Buddhism did. And there are certain Galupas who also think that it's only emptiness. And I've been there. Only when you're meditating. I've liked studying with some of these people. They're very smart. Only when you're in total emptiness. That's the only thing. Once I was sitting with a Lama used to study, the one who gave the empowerment of Durja Yudroma, who I liked a lot. He's a wonderful person. And he would give these wonderful empowerments. And he gave the empowerment, and then suddenly someone was sitting there, happened to be sitting right next to her, and she felt this energy arising around her, and she's having an experience of the Divine Mother in that form, even though he didn't give any details. And there's you. And you can feel this energy, you know, because fortunately I'd been around other yogis. You feel the Shakti, the light, and she's in this ecstatic state. Other people don't. And then she says, Rinpoche, I had this experience. And he said, that experience is a distraction. And he started undercutting the whole thing. That experience is a distraction. That is not the real thing. That is basically, you know, that is not the real thing. The real thing. Then they had some guy before says, there was nothing there. It was just a nothingness for a long time. There's nothingness. Oh. I said, that's the real thing. Now, at that point, I got a lot from that wonderful person, but I left at that moment. After that, I left. Sharon and I left. Because there wasn't the whole thing how I experienced that. This is, oh, and someone asked him, well, Rinpoche, I'm carrying on too much maybe, huh? Rinpoche, have you ever seen a goddess? Have you ever seen the Dakini? No, I haven't. His prejudice, this is a powerful person. His prejudice foreclosed that. But maybe he sees it now. Do you understand what prejudice, we really want to know what our prejudice is. So let's pair up now, okay?
Prejudice is in your mind.
It's in my mind. And it's also in a cultural field.
Yeah.
It's in a cultural field. So let's pair up with each other. Sorry to take so long, but we're discussing archetypes. And actually the process of self-liberation is what? Is embodying awareness. What else would a Gestalt therapist think, right? Having a good time?
Going for it is devotion.
Going for it is it.
More than being devoted to a particular saint. Going for it is it.
Patricia's going to tell us something. Tell us, Patricia. Here we go. Hello.
Hello. Going for it is devotion. Maybe even more than being devoted to a particular saint or archetype for me.
Very well said. That going for it, undamo bharavaha. So, that's why all these things of devotion, that like offering up animals, you with me? Can be a very devoted thing. A person's going for it, you know? And from this frame, it doesn't make much sense, but from the frame of devotion, people going for this, and there's Abram going to open up offer his son, you know, and then and this whole big thing. Yes?
I was thinking, could you also think about the push-ups then as a form of devotion?
Push-ups can absolutely be a form of devotion also. And devotion itself can be any action. But it's really good to know what action you're doing. So let's focus now, okay? And let's So we've been working on Tantra, all right? So let's extend to the person who we're with, the light. Is Krishna a deity? Is Krishna an archetype? Yes, Krishna is an archetype. Is Ram an archetype? Yes, Ram's an archetype, huh? Is Mars an archetype? Yes. Is water an archetype? Huh? Is the face of a child, can that be an archetype? In many different ways, huh? So that's why all this is rather loosely thought. And so holding this awareness, would you mind feeling Feeling, the column and the person before you, experiencing the column. And you can feel it by extending, you can feel it by magnetizing, you can feel it by passing through, stepping into. Now, then let's take the next step and become aware of our own awareness as purity. We've been focused on that pure awareness in the heart, without leaving your companion. You can experience that pure awareness, not your mind, but just becoming aware of the purity of this kadig, huh? This pure openness, this pure space, this pure light. Now we'll take one more step. Let's see if you can open this even further between you two, where you like opening, even use a gesture hand, where you're opening this mutually known space between us and within us. So we're going into intersubjective state. Between us and within us. Now you're gazing now through your heart. And you're gazing both inside and also you're holding the entire body. And you're gazing through the felt sense. And you should be awake, okay? And if you can, your eyes can be closed if you want. And as we do this, I'm going to read a little poem. Because someone sent me a paper on the nature of love in the plays of Shakespeare. And it starts off with this first quote by Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream. And it goes like this. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind. By mind here, we mean awareness, right? And therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. That means it's not with the eyes of Cupid. Nor hath love mind of any judgment taste. That means this love is beyond judgment. And wings and no eyes figure unheeded haste. And therefore, love is said to be a child, because in no choice he is so often beguiled. I would think of Yenchen always saying you should be 6 years old, 7 years old, in practicing Qigong. And I'll focus with you guys on the website. And there's someone named Owner. Who are you, Owner? I like that. You fit into the talk today in owning. Owner. Who could Owner be? But I do like seeing everyone. If not, I feel...
Rudy, hi, it's Kay.
Great, Kay. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Now know who you are. Love you. Great. And you're basically a very Sambhogakaya person, eh?
I think so.
Great. Now we're going to pause, and you guys are going to describe your experience, because that's how we really learn here. After I blab around, wander around and aimless. And I'll pass this microphone to you guys, and I'm just going to make a brief statement what you're experiencing with your companion.
Initially, when we were focusing on the column, there was a tremendous amount of intensity of fire, and it was very concentrated within each of us. There was spaciousness, but it was very concentrated. And then with the next instruction, it was like our hearts just touched, and all of the energy expanded out, so the column became encompassed both of our bodies, and the oneness was really magic.
Totally cool. So the column was encompassing the both of us now.
Everything what Juliet said, and I have to confess, I got a little distracted when you read the Shakespeare,
Yes.
because
Took you out.
that's, I think, the quotes we had. We didn't have a traditional wedding, Yari and I. We had two fairies that came out of the woods that cited, I think, this. Yeah, it was my sister and her best friend.
That is great. That's okay. That's sealed. That's it. You're a golden.
And, I don't want to be bragging, but this was the beginning of the wedding, and everybody said, oh, we had never been to a wedding like this.
Fantastic. That's great.
When we first started, I felt the field very thick and dense and dark. And when you mentioned the column, everything lit up. And I could feel the energy going up my spine, and that sense of Jen and I being two but one was very palpable and very powerful.
Yes, the two but one and the column. I just felt like I passed into Chris and enhanced the column in her, and then magnetized it back into me and back and forth.
Thank you so much. Here we go.
When you said to see the column, I saw the column of light in Fran immediately. It was just so bright and so sparkling in her.
And after that, I experienced this sense of the two of us being in kind of a cloud encircling us, and a sense of softness. At the same time as it felt very heavy, but there was this softness, like we were just completely protected in the light, the two of us.
That's a great word. Protected in the light. That is protection. Great, thank you. Fran.
When we first started the exercise, I was mentally trying to feel Carolyn, and I was wondering whether she could feel. I was putting a lot of effort into, I don't know, trying to make something happen or try to feel certain things. And then at a certain point, I felt this, I felt the presence of the Divine Mother. And it didn't matter whether I stopped mentally struggling, and I felt not only connected to Carolyn, but completely safe. And I felt the power of the Divine Mother that just encompasses everybody, all of us here. And so that was this very joyful, like I don't have to work so hard.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Beautifully articulated.
My experience is of a very intense vibration. It started with immediately being in this cascade of the light of the pillar of union with Kanu, and then it turned into something much more spherical, and then it morphed into being just in pure potentiality, and that's a very intense vibration of light.
Beautifully described how you went through those different dimensions. Fantastic.
I'm just kind of blown away with what Marla just said, because it was so mirroring my experience. When we first sat down together, I had just such an overwhelming feeling of love that tears were coming out. And then as I went deeper and we went deeper together, the column did turn into a sphere. And this sphere was between us, like we were flattened out around this very large ball of light, like a crystal ball, but it was just emanating light, and we were like putty, kind of flattened around it, and physical form, but our subtle form, our form became the light, and that was just like a physical structure that was holding this incredible sphere of light. Yeah, it was really incredible.
Thank you for describing the actualities, huh? There we go.
It was very easy, surprisingly easy to feel the light. It was very luminous coming up, including both of us. I mean, it just rose up together. It felt as one, and then became for me both luminous and very electrical, and that it took a form actually of a 16-sided geometric, like diamond shape, rather than, anyway, that's
You still see that geometry in front of you? It's very, very powerful. Just seeing that geometry itself.
Carol and I have never worked together before, so this is very amazing. And you just sat down. It was like she lit on fire, and it was just the light just shining completely from her. And I'm just enjoying this light. It's like a ray of light. And then I included myself into it, and the light kind of went out, and then it went into a place of unrealized potential. And just a few minutes ago, it felt, and it feels right now, like we're holding the earth between us. That, I guess you got the whole world in your hands, I guess, but it's in this sphere that's between us, and it's like a planet of some sort, and it feels so peaceful and so powerful and so real.
So for me, with the column was between us. It was a dark, luminous column, and then it morphed into a deep, non-dual quality, and then into a dark Dharmakaya, everything experience.
There wasn't really a column. It's like it's all just lots and lots of space. Just lots and lots of space.
There was a lot of brilliant yellow gold light in the column, and seeing with your heart was so powerful. The words, seeing with your heart, created such expansive light that we're both holding each other in, and also a tremendous understanding of how I see with my heart all the time. Thank you.
Initially, there is a column that is not golden as you saw, but I saw it as silver, very straight, with a bulge or a roundedness in part of it. And that roundedness broke all linearity. As you read Shakespeare, I entered the meter of it that was kind of breaking through the words, and the linearity came back in a form of mundane, even though the words are beautiful. And there was a humor there, a sense of, I don't know. It's an odd thought. I can skip that.
There are a lot of odd people here.
Okay, all right. Sometimes I get out on a limb and wonder where the heck everybody is. And this was one of those. It was in Dzogchen, devouring experience is not a cannibalistic moment. And that came back as you were reading Shakespeare. But immediately I left that, and this roundedness that initially was there exploded. But it was a noiseless explosion. And it was very round, everywhere. And there was an image or a sense of, not an image, more a sense of a galaxy taking off, or a universe taking off its mantle and just devouring it, eating it through its mouth.
So beautiful.
So that sense of a column and a bulge was present, never left. But that inside, outside, I think it was a sense of purity, without a label, without thought. Lama Tarchin talks about untainted, and then immediately changes that word, thankfully, because that's a loaded word.
That's a loaded word.
And
That's an old word.
And goes toward undiluted, and then takes that to undiluted what, and doesn't stop at a what, goes right, breaks a what wide open. So it becomes undiluted evenness of awareness, or
Undiluted is great. Exquisite. Undiluted is describing the whole thing. Number two, the round is a very ancient word, the round. And to experience the round, both in Dzogchen and in Chan Buddhism, the round, eventually, how do you describe this? And people say, the round. It's a word that doesn't, but it's the round. It's round. It is round. So at this way, there's a certain language that's a liminal language that takes us totally beyond rational 1, 2, 3, 4, and brings us into a language that is peculiar to the experience itself. And you have a gift for that, which is really great. So every time you share that, that opens up not just in you, but it opens up in me and everyone else, that dimension of experience. Because we don't have to be rational here. Because when we're rational, we actually think we know more than we do. All of us. Thank you so, so much.
So at this point, there's so much happening's not the right word. So much unfolding at the same time that all I can do is get occasional varying glimpses of it. So I could do some of the glimpses, but it's just so much.
Thank you so much. Just what you described.
Two things. The first one is that when I sensed and went into Skip's column, I was receiving his essence, and it was spanning centuries. And it was something that picked up where I left off the last time I worked with Skip. And in his column was the essence of Skip. Secondly, since this morning when I was driving here, I've been receiving these infusions of energy, mostly in my crown and third eye. And what happened as I was driving here, I was listening to some music, and I started hearing it in a way I never heard it before, and I started seeing things and even understanding things in this dimension I'd never experienced before. And when I came in here, it continued. I keep receiving these infusions of energy. And there's something in process here with me and Skip where I can feel myself seeking to be with that as I'm connecting to Skip. And just before Skip started to share, there had been an aching in my heart, and I was receiving that as that this new dimension is opening in my heart, and I was receiving that the connection with Skip was helping with that. And just before Skip started to share, the ache changed to this vast spaciousness in my heart. So something is in process for me. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Thank you so much for articulating your experience that helps us all feel more comfortable with the unfolding mysterious process.
So when you read the poem, I became very, very conscious of Patricia's singularity, while still totally immersed in all this unfolding. And then I became aware of, we've known each other a long time, so of all the Nirmanakaya love I have for Patricia. And it just enlivened and brought an immediacy to the whole experience. I mean, but the whole experience of everything.
Perfecto. That is perfection.
I had the experience with Marianne of when we first started bringing up the column. Her column came up from below, and then it started to spiral up. And I don't know why, but it just started having this spiral quality to it. And I felt my column also coming up. And also I felt this this sphere between us, this calm. That's what how I would call it. That's what I would call it. It was just a sense of real calm, but a very, very real sphere between our hearts.
Beautifully described in those spirals. Longchenpa writes about them, and it's almost like the first manifestation is these spirals arising out of this spiraling, whirling, creating everything. Yes, please.
So I also felt the calmness, but there was a strength to the calmness, and but that sense of the column became, we were separate, but there was a column that became one, and it enclosed us. But I felt the spaciousness of it, and there was a strength to it that was like a quiet strength to it. I struggle with feeling the column, so I felt yours, and I didn't always feel it all evenly, and that may be me.
Thank you so much.
I had a nice experience that almost kind of slipped by me. I was following along as we were going into this thing. And he said, attune to the column in your partner, and I did, and it continued along it, and then I felt that was not a willful gesture to attune to it. It was a relaxation and a realization into feeling the column, and in that, mine popped right up into my awareness as well. And it was almost kind of, I did it. And that was very, very joyful and surprising to me as how simple and organic that attunement was.
Initially, when I attuned to Alexander's column, I kind of attuned to his spine. And I had a sense of his spine. And then you were asking us to go deeper, and we went into the heart, look at him through the heart. And maybe you magnetize, maybe you send you gave us all these choices, and I did a bunch of them. And what came forth
in Alexander, as it came forth in me, was fire. And in the intersubjective space, there was just this fire that was very, very intense. And as I kept relaxing into that, the apparitional world came forth in Alexander, and then it came forth in me, and then it became held by this vast expanse of light which contained us and our experience.
When I began to attune to Lynn's column, the more I went into it, the more I experienced my own, and the all-encompassing realization that they were the same, that it's the same energy, and so I was so comfortable in that. I just experiencing it as light-filled, experiencing it as energy, and then when we went seeing through the heart, I realized how containing the column was and confining the whole concept of the column was, and I guess my thing was, oh, the column is an archetype, but it's not useful for me right now. And so I expanded it out. And then more and more and more and more energy began expanding. The column was still there, and it kind of and I went to dual, non-dual, dual, non-dual, both at the same time. So the column was useful, but it was not, as long as it was not confining.
Beautifully described. There's discrimination in all this, right? There's action, a merger, as we ourselves are exploring these dimensions, and we learn a lot by what takes place. Thank you so much.
I was thinking not so much of a column per se, but of, well, not thinking. I was experiencing kind of vibration, vertical vibration within myself that was resonating, and when I extended to Steve, that I didn't so much experience connecting with him as an intensifying of the vibration within myself that was in some way connected with that. And then the extending through the heart or looking through the heart, that horizontal connection that really had the effect of solidifying, but not solid like inert, but solid like strong sense of connection with him, connection with myself, connection with the world, and a tremendous feeling of calm and comfort.
Thank you so much. Beautifully described.
So, with the extending to Amy, it was tremendous vibration, but the heart is still kind of electrified, open, almost painful in a way. Like it's just so, it's like overwhelmed in a way. It's jumping out. It's so. The column was it was like a fluidless geyser. It was a light-filled geyser coming from the bottom up.
with sparks and energy, and just everything was quite like firework like. And Thomas Hubel came in to the space. I felt tremendous like love and gratitude for Amy, actually, in bringing him into our space.
This has been such a beautiful experience, and I want to add to what Nancy said, in that the column feels like it is self-arising, but that our not so much our words, but our intentionality helps to heighten it, bring it in even further. And the experience for me is one of such generosity. A generosity both through this wonderful being who's having this experience and through the experience itself, which wants us to have the experience. and it also feels so much like I was metabolizing this inside my body, like I am being fed. And I even had the experience of the heart, both on the level of the heart and the extension of the heart into the lower centers, which instead of making it all about the lower centers, actually opened up the heart even more.
Only thing I wanted to say was, it's during the High Holy Days right now in the Jewish tradition, and I just wanted to say to everyone here and to all that you all are connected with, L'Shana Tova, may your names be inscribed in the Book of Life for a good and sweet year.
Thank you so much. As Amy was saying about mental intention, just one follow-up here, because after we give this long talk today and last week, the word intention shifts what it is and what it's not. And it's a very confusing word, intention. So there's mentalistic intention, we're in mind alone, okay? And if you if you listen to things about mental intention, there's thousands and thousands of books on mental intention, and they all crash and burn in certain times, okay? The mental intention, okay? Now, mental intention is nice. I think I'll go have a ice cream or walk down the steps. But for stepping beyond mental intention, because this whole issue of action shifts. So if I'm in the Manakaya dimension, and if I want something to happen in the Nirmanakaya, I have to be in the Nirmanakaya, and it will arise out of the Nirmanakaya. It will come through the Nirmanakaya. So it's not like my little brain is just thinking, da, 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 and then I try and act it. That's mental. In the Nirmanakaya, when you're in the Nirmanakaya, it's very spontaneous. It arises, and it is arising through you spontaneously at that dimension, more or less. You with me? And we'll pick this again next week. Number 2, if I want something to happen in the Sambhogakaya, I have to be in the Sambhogakaya. And in the Sambhogakaya, it will also happen with spontaneity. It will come through me. Just like you're hearing people talking, that's spontaneous, and yet there's action involved in it. But it's not the action of mind. It is action of awareness at the level of Sambhogakaya. You with me? And just you play with that, but that you want to understand. And finally, if you're really fortunate, there's action at the Sambhogakaya. You with me? But you're not really there, But the Sambhogakaya can manifest through you, through your awareness of the Sambhogakaya. That unbound manifestation can come through Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya and even your mind. And that type of attunement to the Sambhogakaya dimension. With that, we'll end up. I will see you guys next week. The following week after that, I will not be here. We'll be in Santa Monica for a little over a week or so. And then we'll probably, if people want, we can do the online thing when we're there. And then eventually, probably in January or February, Sharon and I are going to go to California, Santa Monica for 2 months. That's what we hope to do. Now, what we're going to do here, I would love to continue this. I think this is really cool. You know, we don't need a lot of people. I really don't. You don't either. We're not so much even interested in new people. You follow what I'm saying? But I like what's going on. I think it has a little life of its own. I'd like to continue it if you want to, or those who want to continue it. So when we're not here, if we can, we're going to put locks up on the second floor, the third floor, and then we'd like some people who are really authoritarian. Any authoritarian people here? There must be one or two, okay, to be someone in charge of this place, and and they come in, and then you guys can use the first floor for the bathrooms, and we can use the basement during those 2 months and have programs. I'll probably have one person in charge of the program. We can do that over time, and then I'll come on at times and teach. Maybe sometimes I might have you guys also teach, but we're going to try and use this in a creative way that we can do the same exact thing we're doing right now. Are you with me? So I'd like to do that if everybody's up for that. And then we'll come back and stay a couple of months. So we're trying to work out what we're going to do. You know, we really like being here. I really like having the center here. Would like to continue the center if possible. I do know we don't have to be here all the time for the center for things to happen. I am very careful, though, who comes in. As you guys have known, with some kind of gracious way, we really aren't open to everybody. You know, it's true. Well, everybody's welcome. Come on to my house. Yeah. And I say that in a facetious way, but I'm also saying it in a very real way. You with me? So if we open up, say, I don't worry about the seminar, but say we have a Friday morning meditation or another meditation, that would be some kind of way that when any of you guys invite somebody, I'm totally happy. But I'm not really big people coming off the street. You with me? Because, you know, for some people, I am so glad. What's the Tibetan place? Who does the insight meditation. I'm so glad they exist. I'm glad everything exists. I love these bases. They deal with all these people. You with me? It's just not me, you know, or Sharon. So you guys follow what I'm saying? Yes. So we'd like to continue this, and then we'd like to have other teaching programs as we go along too, and we'd like other people to start to help teach, maybe moving into another level of this drama here. But I'm just saying what some of my parameters are. But the seminar, we'll have it as it is. We'll do it online, and one person can lead it, and then we'll do the same things we did today, because I think it has power to it. You know, we have archetypal support. We have the support of the teachers we've known and loved, and we can continue on, because I like to. We're going to have a chant this Saturday because of Chakapani dying, who I've learned so much through him and about the archetypical realm, both in terms of the planetary energies, but also the power of invoking the archetypical dimension, And so we'll have a chant this. You do not have to come. We'll have it whether it's just me and Anand and Sharon and Karen, it'll be fine. But if you guys want to come from 5 to 6, there'll be no refreshments. You just come in, we'll chant, or you come in on Zoom, and we'll do that. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Okay, it'll be from 5 to 6. Yes, please. Friday, yes, we will have Saturday morning tomorrow. On Saturday. Now, we may have some people coming from the monastery on, so I'm going to be in better behavior, okay? because we really want them to feel welcome, and we can carry on here as much as we want, right? But we want people to come in and not be distracted by the strange humor and those sort of things that we do here, because we can. You follow what I'm saying? So we'll have people come, and I hope they get something from it. You with me? At times we'll go into a little bit of a rap on what the archetypes are. You with me? And if they're open to it, it's really great. And we had a great time last Saturday with them. They're wonderful, wonderful people. But there's a desire. The Kagyu lineage is a lineage of practice. They call it that. It's a practice tradition. And some traditions are really practiced traditions. There are other traditions that's where I'm at is understanding. If I don't understand something, or at least according to my own opinion, nothing's going to happen. So this is an understanding tradition. You with me? But we're going to be opening this up. Maybe we'll see what takes place. on Friday, we'll have a meeting this Friday, and not, do we have it next? I don't know when I leave. The 7th? Is that Friday? Saturday, at least. So we'll have it on Friday then. I love what's taking place. There's a fruitional period right now we're in. There's a fruitional period, and I love how you share. You have to share the experience, because the experiences are not rational. They're profoundly meaningful, but they're not not the normativeness. You with me? But we're not in catechism either class here. You with me? We've been practicing a long time. Weird, strange, like the energy. Thank you guys. See you. Let's focus for 1 minute on people in the Caribbean, and where Steve's from, Puerto Rico. I love Tortola. I've been there so many times in my life. I think of what's happened to them, and we'll focus the light and energy on them. Mexico. So much suffering in this world, huh? So much suffering. And we have the feeling is this. If you're in awareness, we don't believe in exceptionality here. There's not one person that's exceptional. I don't see an exceptional people here, do you? Anybody? There's no exceptional people here. Exceptionalness is a delusion. We're ordinary people, and we're using the light of awareness to extend it to people from timeless awareness into time. And also from timeless awareness in the past, with people going through horrible experiences, suddenly that light can come to them and make the unbearable bearable, and also into the future. I have no doubt about this. Great. See you guys later. Take care. Hi, Anna. Is that your new house? Oh, that's your new house. Great. Cool. It's beautiful. You have all that sunlight, huh? Yeah, maybe we'll see each other, you know? Great, great. I'll be there about a week or so, and we'll be babysitting a lot. Pete and them are going, there's a big feast in this town. It's a big chanting thing. It's a famous place in California. They'll be going. You're getting healthier, eh?
Yes, much better. I'm very happy.
Thank you. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Barbara. See you guys later. Hi, owner. Bye.
I was there 2 years ago. It's beautiful. Huge lake around it, but you know. Yeah. Okay.